Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. Y'all gave me a really positive response towards the Final Fantasy Online TTRPG stuff. If or when that finally comes out, if there's a way to play it virtually anywhere, I would love to make some videos showing how it's played just as an experiment. Maybe get some friends together, we can make some silly characters and just, I will DM, I suppose, and then my players will just play, and we'll just play through it like people would be playing through any Final Fantasy-esque adventure. I'm not against trying out different TTRPGs, I just don't have time to learn many of them, honestly. I need to set time aside for myself to try to learn new systems, but unfortunately I'm kind of cramped for time on a daily basis. Honestly, finding stuff to do throughout the day is difficult because I'm always crammed. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get some RPG horror stories for today. No, you cannot blow a hole in a ship and kill the entire party. A few weeks ago, I decided to run a D&D campaign based on a Mass Effect universe. I made stats for the races, rules for tech and biotech, Mass Effect's version of space magic, and a few weapons from all 8 of Mass Effect's weapon categories. I was pretty proud of all the homebrew I managed to make for this campaign, and was eager to find some players to enjoy it. Made a couple posts on LFG forums to advertise the campaign, and got a decent number of responses. Eventually, I settled on 5 players, one of which I probably should have booted during character creation. People have made so many incredibly amazing homebrew systems for, like, let's say Lord of the Rings 5th edition, or Star Wars 5th edition, or Final Fantasy 14 5th edition homebrew. It's so cool. It's like taking the baseline of what 5th edition is and do like a homebrew conversion to make it work. And I'm pretty sure there's some systems out there for even Mass Effect. No, actually, definitely. There's one for Halo, one for Mass Effect. 5th edition D&D, like 2014 version, not the new one, is so malleable and so flexible. I like it. I like that it's so flexible, honestly. Anyway, enough gushing about it. Let's actually get to the story. It's not 5th edition hour, Morrow. It's a story hour. His first character idea was to play a Reaper. A literal Reaper. You know, the 2-kilometer living starship that can 1v1 entire fleets without taking damage. His argument was that by essentially being the party's ship that saved money on repairs and stuff. His second idea was to play Commander Shepard, the literal main character of the game, who is dead by the time the campaign starts, as it's post-Mass Effect 3. He went through a few more blatantly overpowered character concepts before I finally talked him down to playing a Turian Fighter. His backstory for the character was 2 whole sentences. He's a former soldier who worships stars. He wants to find a home. Eventually we come to session 0, the players all meet each other, some background information is exchanged, rules are discussed, etc, etc. I noticed that Turian was practically silent during the whole thing. His mic wasn't muted. I checked a few times before the session. He just wasn't engaging with anyone. Okay, well, a lot of people are quiet when they meet new people. That's normal enough, I naively thought. Eventually, we reach the game night. I give the opening narration, explain that it'll be 3 days until they reach the nearest mass relay, and ask each player in turn to describe their character and tell us what they do during those few days of travel time. When I reach Turian, he doesn't bother describing his character. Instead, he simply says he wants to detonate a grenade and blow a hole in the side of their ship. His reason? He's worships space, so he wants to be outside. If you worship space and you just want to be outside, you know, there's a exit door you could just jettison yourself out of instead of blowing a hole in space and making everybody blow up with you and destroy the entire ship and kill everybody with you. What's the point of why? Well, I mean, there's a few paragraphs left over, so maybe there's some sort of semblance in this. I don't know, this sounds stupid though. Obviously, I tell him no. He can't willingly destroy the ship since it would kill the entire party and end the campaign right away. He tries to argue, saying that a good DM would find a way to make it work, and that I shouldn't say no, only yes and. No, this is a good time. The DM should say no. DMs should, not just can or should be encouraged to, they should say no to dumb ideas that would derail the entire campaign. No, you can't be a Reaper and just be a super powerful god boss. No, you can't be Commander Shepard. He's not alive in this universe. You can't be the main character. No, you can't detonate a grenade inside the ship and take everybody with you because you worship space or whatever. Good DMs say no no to terrible ideas and players don't want to ruin the fun for everybody else. Good DMs say no to problem players, which this Turian Fighter is being a problem player because they want to detonate it, and they have the audacity, the gall to say, no DM, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be saying no to my stupid ideas, you should be saying yes and try to find a way to make it work. No, you don't make stupid work. You don't make problem player behavior work. You say no to it. That's the only thing to do. No other ways to do it. Like, if you want to try, you can. Be my guest. If you think you can find a better solution, if you have a better solution, let me know down in the comments below. But generally, I feel like in this situation, if a problem player just wants to do problem behavior just because, and just wants the DM to explain and justify how it makes sense, then no, don't. It's on the onus of the player to define and describe why it makes sense to do what they want to do, even though it's going to affect everybody else. Exploding a grenade inside of a spaceship is going to get everybody killed. If the player can explain how that's a good thing or how it benefits everybody else, then say no. Simple as that. When I refused to budge, he just told me to go F myself and left the server. The remaining 4 players agreed to keep playing without him, and we had a pretty fun session with the party exploring an abandoned colony full of hostile unknown aliens. After the session, I found out that Turian had been messaging another player, the only woman in the party, trying to convince her to send him pictures of herself. She never did, and even blocked him when he started to get aggressive with his messages. Always nice when the trash takes itself out, I suppose. Oh, so not only is he a problem, but he's also a creep. Interesting. Well, you know what? I agree with what you said. It's nice when trash takes itself out. Let's get to the next story for today. The Blair Saga. DM ousts co-DM for holding a session without them / DMPC writes her own essay. This saga will be a 5-parter, but double as standalone stories. Part 105. The beginning. I met a person we'll call Blair at my former workplace after a friend referred me to her, mentioning she was a furry, as he knows I made artwork she would like. Blair used to be the manager there and invited me to her Discord before she left. A year after hanging out with Blair's Discord server when she bought me Minecraft, I pitched the idea she could do D&D. In a Sea Pirates campaign based on One Piece, it was me, Warlock, Owen, DM's pet, Avery, who bragged about how chaotic my character is, DM's pet, and a few other players who we lost through the months. Vince and Blair were co-DMs for this and the other sessions she had throughout the week. Vince helped Blair with schedules and set up maps. He heavily dwarfed Blair in skill and understanding of Roll20 she had on him, so he could show her the ropes since this was her first year in. Okay, dude, I have no idea how many times I had to re-record the last couple of sentences. It's a struggle. Listen, I understand people writing those stories and stuff. Not everybody's got to be like a Shakespearean writer and stuff, but at least proofread your stuff to make sure you don't have too many run-on sentences. I feel like I just said 5 sentences out loud in a single sentence. It was a lot to process through. Blair and Vince both used DMPCs. Vince's was a skeleton that had several souls and powers, and Blair was found tied to a pole in the middle of the ocean, where it was mentioned she was snuggled by the sailors who tied her there. Red flag. Blair never mentioned the say would be on a session, and it was a forbidden action on the D&D server we played on, but she did it anyway. Oh, those awful men, Blair's DMPC cried out in this high-octane voice. Normally a bad DM forces SA on you, the player, but Blair is the first I ever saw apply SA to herself. It felt like we weren't playing a game anymore, we were forced to watch what felt like a trauma fantasy. As a survivor myself, I found this not only disturbing, but outright disgusting. There are actually DMs out there, and even players that sometimes want to have trauma be put onto the player characters or the DMPCs so that others will feel bad because they want to have like a, I don't know, like maybe like a defining character moment or like some sort of character, I don't know, some sort of trauma fest basically, like, or like a trauma that turns into something good. I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna put in a character that was SA, there has to be a specific reason for it. Maybe there's a story, maybe there's a part to it, maybe the character was SA and it divulged to the party exactly who the person was, maybe it was some sort of high-ranked noble that eventually becomes a BBEG, you know, it kind of interlinked together. If you just put in a DMPC that was SA just a trauma dump, just to have this character be the most traumatic character ever, I feel like you're just competing with your players about who can out-trauma somebody else, and sometimes it does feel like some players or DMs create NPCs or player characters that like compete in how traumatic they can be. Maybe not in D&D, but as somebody who's been part of VR chat role plays, everybody had some kind of trauma, and everybody was trying trying to out-trauma each other. Oh, my character came from this place and they were horribly mistreated. My character was from here and they were horribly mistreated. Even worse, my character grew up in this horrible place and never even knew love and always looking for love because it's so horribly traumatic. And then there was my guy who was like, I like to gamble. I have a mercenary family that I'm looking for. I'm here to look around, look for jobs. Hello. It was a complete stark difference, dude. But I didn't want to be part of the traumathon. I just wanted to just join in the VRChat roleplay, be part of it. I don't know why some people just have the desire, this like latent desire, this latent urge to want to out-trauma somebody else. Like, I get it, trauma makes for fun character stories, but it has to be with a specific reasoning to it, and they're not just there to just out-trauma somebody. It no longer felt like we were playing a game. We were forced to sit through something deeply uncomfortable, something that should never have been included without a prior discussion. But Blair didn't stop there. After her DMPC's rescue, she immediately pushed for a romantic relationship between her character and Avery's. It was clear that this dynamic was meant to be framed as a healing moment after the essay. This felt like a trope, one less often criticized in media, where a character's trauma is used as a justification for immediate romance. It was unsettling, especially in a D&D setting where players should have full agency over the story and tone. With how hardcore Blair's being with this DMPC, I feel like you guys are just side characters and Blair's DMPC is going to be the main character. That's just a hunch that I get, but we'll see, we'll see. The first character arc we do is Avery's, where we visit her family in a dream dimension. After we meet her family, I mentioned my character experiences flashback of a battle between two forces in the astral plane against the dream dimension, an event only experienced by me. Blair is furious. I will later learn that Blair, behind closed doors, accused me of robbing Avery of her character plot, and after a few months later, it was mentioned by Vince that they were supposed to go over my character plot first, but instead it got dropped for Avery's. Blair hated him for telling me that. Red flag, DM is responsible for plots. You can't just rob a plot. It felt like Blair didn't want me to have a plot at all, and wanted to punish me for leaving a breadcrumb into my story. The fall of Vince, Blair kicks her own co-DM. Blair had a few other sessions in a week. One was a Thursday session. Blair would sometimes get so tired with work that she would cancel sessions. As co-DM, Vince held the session so Blair could focus on rest and her health. One night, I went into a VC where the players were distraught, and Vince was the only one of the two DMs in voice chat. Blair was having a complete meltdown. Blair was upset Vince held Thursday session without her. Blair was messaging other players passive-aggressively, lashing out at anyone who dared to message her, including Owen and Avery. Blair converts with Owen and Avery for several hours later when Vince was gone. Never seen again, and even gone from Blair's personal server. You know, it's actually been quite a while. Last time I seen DM try to be like a control freak and having like a rule with an iron fist with his server was Iris. Is Blair just another Iris? Are they the same people? Are they just different people but with same personalities? I mean, clearly Blair is a little bit more dramatic here. Iris was just cruel and very difficult to deal with, but Blair is a whole different other kind of crazy, that's for sure. Barrett will post this in a group chat. No session, we got some drama. Blair will later wipe this, and that entire night from the chat, like it never happened, Blair will have Avery tell 4 different stories about why he was gone. Vince was sexually abusing his girlfriend, who were minors, but quickly added the message to, Vince was being a piece of crap in real life to other girls and didn't leave because of the game, he had to leave because of real things, Avery. Vince SA me and Owen's character forced pregnancy on us and sacrificed our children. That's how you get kicked from the server. Avery. Oh, this session without Blair? She was fine with that. She was just mad about those other things. Avery. Okay, then which story is it? I feel like if it's all these stories mixed in together, I think it's just Blair making other people tell stories for them. I see what you put down, why the Blair's pet. Seriously, why do Avery and Vince even stand Blair in this situation or post as them? Like, why? Why is Blair letting other people be messengers, and why are they agreeing to this? Why are you agreeing to be someone's little messenger? If they're upset about something, let them post it on their own. I swear, Blair's the kind of person that is way too into drama instead of actually having like proper games and doing proper solutions. There's some people but they're so involved and they want to be so overly dramatic for no stupid reason whatsoever, just to make themselves feel so self-important, and it just drives me up the wall. There's no point for you to be so melodramatic. Just be out in the open. You had a screaming, you kicked the guy out because you were pissed. Move on. Good lord. Just be out front about it. Just be outright in the open. But of course we can't be right out in the open when we're being a manipulative little bitch like this. And yes, Blair's kind of seems like a little bit of a bitch to me, because the way they're behaving is just unacceptable for a DM, just as a person in general, not even just DM. This is wacky. This is just wacky tobacco. Biggest red flag: present day Blair secretly plays at his table while still circulating those rumors. Stabbing him in the back. Blair would destroy her friend group to find out how I know that. Red flags: if you have a co-DM that's your co-collaborator, the fact that she had this many stories means she's blatantly lying. Blair sending Avery of all people to say this is Blair's triangulation failsafe to throw Avery under the bus if she ever got caught lying. Open communication of boundaries before DMing with another DM would have cleared this, but Vince was taking the initiative in good faith and didn't anticipate Blair's outburst. This is how I was introduced to this excessively aggressive method Blair will use to control her table. Blair will after or later cancel all the sessions Vince ever co-DM with her. It felt like Blair was more upset the campaign wasn't her 100%, and she wanted to kick Vince after he outlived his usefulness to her. Felt like she wanted to erase Vince and the memory she ever lost control. Blair's obsession with control will be a recurring theme in the saga. Stay tuned for part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5. I would like to see the other parts, genuinely. I mean, Blair sounds like an interesting character that probably has a lot of crazy stuff they've done. The only thing I ask, OP, and this is just from me to you, is just proofread and punctuations. That's all. Just go back after you write this stuff, go through it, and if it sounds like it has a proper flow to it, leave it. But if it doesn't sound like it has any flow at all, it needs multiple breaks and stuff, maybe go through it again. I would love to read more about Blair and their crazy meltdowns. I really would, because holy hell, Blair is a character, but it's sometimes difficult to get through the sentences. That's all I ask. Just a humble ask of a dumb little tiefling on the internet. Otherwise, yeah, I want people like Blair because they're crazy. They're insane. They're honestly just an absolute loony. Just nutso. This is not okay thing to do. If you have co-DMs and you have people that are DMing on your server as well, you should probably just communicate with them outright instead of just going full scorched earth and just removing them from random things and then start talking behind the backs. The one thing you don't want to do is burn bridges. If it's with players, DMs, whatever. If you had a good interaction with somebody and you want to have somebody there be by your side, the last thing you want to do is burn bridges and start being an a-hole. If, let's say, for example, something happened with Micah running a session that I didn't know about, maybe conflicted with some lore stuff, I'm not going to be an a-hole to him. I'm just going to be like, yo, so what I missed? Can you clarify on this or that? Just so I'm up to speed. Because at the end of the day, I love the guy and I want to make sure he can keep playing sessions and stuff, but I just want to know what kind of stuff he got cooking up so I can maybe help DM some sessions to help his little stories come at fruition, you know? Maybe the lore that he built up and gave to players, I want to make sure I include that in my sessions too, so that it feels like, you know, it's all relevant and stuff. Teamwork requires communication, but also communication requires patience, and therefore patience equals teamwork. If you don't have any of that, you get a situation like with Blair having a meltdown, kicking somebody just because they disliked that they ran a session on a Thursday for whatever reason. Oh, how dare they run a session on a Thursday? Ooh, so bad. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.